Hey yo, what is going on guys? Cash and Clean here, and for today's video I just wanted to talk about a super cool mount that you guys can get for this specific event. So if we go over to this guy over here, there's a mount you can get that gives you jump strength. Now if you don't know, jump strength is basically your regular jump, but you can go a lot higher. And if you're trying to do dungeons that require a lot of jump, or if you're farming in Radiant Ruins or whatever the case may be, you're most likely going to need a lot of jump. And this is going to be very helpful. Now, it's not going to be like the Cosmic Dragon, but this one is going to be really handy. It says it's just one jump strength over here, but you can go pretty high with this thing. So the resources it takes isn't going to be too terrible to get. You have just under about a week to farm this thing. And if you don't happen to get it with this event, maybe you can get it on the marketplace, but these things are going to be super expensive. So try to get it as soon as you can because the resources won't take you too long to get. And it is a lot of lunar drops. You're going to have to press E on a bunch of these. Or if you play Shadow Hunter or some kind of farming class, you can get an ally like this, for example, the Karma Capacitor. So basically, as long as you're within range, you don't have to press E, it'll harvest it for you. And on top of that, this thing gives you 10 movement speed, so you're gonna be going pretty quickly with this, especially if you use your roll ability. So as you can see, just without anything, 200 movement speed, that's pretty insane. And I don't even have the movement speed buffs from the star chart over there. So you can imagine the potential with that. And real quick, I just want to show it off. So this is what the mount looks like. It's actually pretty cool. I like the little effect that it has. I like the color scheme for it. And then overall, it's just pretty cool mount. And then this is how high you can jump. And like I mentioned, this is what one jump strength looks like. So I'm just pressing jump once. So this is like, you can go up pretty high with this thing. And something I haven't really tried is I kind of want to stack these. So if we use this Zephyr rune, for example, it gives you 0 jump strength, but don't worry about the 0. It's probably some decimal number, which doesn't really show up on Trove for some reason. So if we're trying to get like super nitpicky, this is probably pretty close to 1 if I had to guess, or 0.5, or it's like a percentage value that it just doesn't show. I don't know the exact math or like reasoning behind all this, but from my understanding is basically that Trove doesn't round up when it comes to these types of numbers. Anyway, we're just going to put that rune on so we have the extra jump strength. And as you can see, it looks like it actually stacks. I'm going up pretty high up. So if you have like 3 jump, for example, you can go pretty high with 3 jump. And it does take a bit to fall down, but that's okay. And then if we unequip it, we can just do like a little before and after. As you can see, you still jump up pretty high, but not as high. So overall, it's super handy to have. And then I guess I'll just throw it on once more. So as you can see, you do jump up super high. So if you do have those runes, you'll have to get pretty far into the rune crafting bench, but it's not too difficult. You can go ahead and craft this repel rune over here. It does the same exact thing, and it's, I don't want to say free, but it's going to cost you some rune paper and rune slate air. Rune paper you get from the dabbler tab, you just need blank scrolls. And then the rune slate airs you can just craft over here. You just need these resources, which isn't too difficult to get. And it's not going to be too often that your rune breaks. And if you're worried about it breaking, then you can just go over here, the Depths Carver, and you can just craft the unbreakable rune. So for an hour, your rune will not break, but this isn't super good if you're trying to have your runes break for rune fragments. But just in case if you don't care about that, then you can go ahead and equip this. But anyway, like I mentioned, this thing is going to be super handy for you guys to have, especially if you're trying to go through dungeons. Some alternatives for this mount is going to be obviously the Cosmic Dragon, but it's not as accessible to everybody. It's going to take a while to get that thing. There is the Bomba Royale one, which I don't fully remember the name, but I can find it. It's going to be this mount over here. And the trick to using this is that you don't really jump. You have to use your primary fire, and you can go up really high. This is the Bomba Royale one. It'll take you a little bit to farm this thing. So if you didn't manage to get the event mount, this Bomba Royale one will always stay around, so you can go to the bomber bench and you can go ahead and craft this thing. It'll take you a while to get, but it's definitely worth it if you're trying to do some dungeon farming. It'll just take a little bit to get used to because obviously you have to press your primary fire to shoot up to the sky like that. And it is on a little cooldown, so just don't mind that. And overall, you can just pair everything with the runes that give you the jump strength. So if we do that, I don't know if that gave us a little bit of height, but if we just jump, it's basically the equivalent of jumping basically twice or 3 times, 2.5 times, something like that. My voice is dying, but I think that's basically all the mounts that I did want to talk about. There's also Gonda, but this is also not as accessible to all the new players or even mid-game players for that matter. Just in case you're wondering, you can just create blocks like this. Every time you run out of jump, it'll basically just have you fall like this, and then you can just reset it, so it's like infinite jump. And then we got the Cosmic Dragon, obviously. So yeah, that's basically the mounts that I did want to talk about. Try to get this event one as soon as you can. And one more thing I wanted to mention when you're crafting this thing is when you're trying to get the lunar drops, make sure you're going to this thing over here where it says lunar drops. This one's going to be the donate. So you don't want to do this one. You want to make sure you go over here to convert your tainted into lunar drops. Just make sure you're reading the thing at the top. And don't go to the donation station. Unless you're at the end of the event and you don't really care about these things, then go ahead and donate. because you will get some of the Longshade resources. But if you're trying to get the Longshade resources, you can go ahead and go into the Shores of Everdark and do those 1-star dungeons. They also have the event Fish, which will require this fishing pole. I'm pretty sure it's this one. I'm like 90% sure it's this one. I mean, I guess in the description it does say obelisks of the Everdark, so pretty sure it's that one. But anyway, that's all I wanted to mention for this video. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. Drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel. And as always, thank you all so much for listening, watching, viewing, and subscribing, and I will talk to you all later.